Alright, good morning YouTube. So we're going to start on that rear bumper for that 4th gen Ram. But the other day I bid on some stuff on an online auction that's close to the house, and I want a few things for the shop, some more tools. I'll scan over that real quick right now before I move them off this sheet of steel and start cutting it up. Some odds and ends, big twist drills. Got another 20N Jacobs 20N super ball bearing chuck. Bunch of random twist drills. There's a 2 3/8 twist drill. Bunch of shim stock. Whole bunch of shim stock. Some die chem. Some other random things. Just some stuff. I got a crate of aluminum. And also a crate of like brass scraps that I can use to machine bushings or whatever we need it for. So I'm going to get all this stuff cleared off and set to the side. We'll organize it all later. I still got to figure out what I'm going to do with it. And we'll get this sheet of steel up on the plasma table and cut out our first piece. I drew up the center section from frame rail to frame rail. We'll get that cut out and bent, and then we can build our mounts and get that center section mounted. Then we can start figuring out what we want to do from here out. And then also our step design. Our step design has to have area for the license plate, our trailer plug, a couple license plate lights, stuff like that. So I'll show you the kind of bare bones center section rendering there that I did, and then we'll get to cutting. So there's what the center section will look like. Obviously there'll be a step in here and license plate hole or license plate holder and stuff. I did those lights. I got the holes in there for the lights to fit in. So yeah, we're well on our way. Let me get this stuff moved out of the way, and we'll get that sheet loaded up and we'll cut that part out. Be right back. All right, we're on this bumper build here. I got the center section all drawn up and bent. It's on the back of the truck. It's tacked on there right now. So here's the center section. And we built some mounts to tie into the factory locations. And it's, like I said, it's just tacked on there right now. So now we've got to build these sections that wrap around the back corner of the truck. And we got to build in our license plate step area. We do have these 2 lights, like I said, that are going to go in it. Right here. They're already pre-cut. So when we get it done, we can bolt those lights in there like that. And we'll wire them into my auxiliary switches that I have in the truck already. So we're plunging away. Got to gather some more things up here, and we're going to start designing out the corners of the bumper, and I'll show you how I go about that. It might not be the most conventional method, but it works for me. And maybe it'll help you out on your future endeavors. I don't know. So let me find some stuff, get some stuff together, and I'll bring you back and we'll start designing out the ends of the bumper. All right, YouTube, got some stuff rounded up here. So this is what we're starting with. So what I do is I take cardboard and I kind of mock it up, because I can trim that cardboard to exactly what I want it to look like, and I'm not wasting the steel. And then I tape all the joints together, and then when I go to cut the part, I can measure this whole part out. I can lay it out flat, measure it out, stick it in my program, cut it on the plies, and bend it up. So I think what we're going to do is I got to add a strip down here. We're going to go ahead and cut that strip of cardboard out and get it on there, and we'll get this section cut. We'll cut 2 of them actually, and then we'll just bend them mirror image of each other, because it should be exactly the same thing on that end. And we can get those bent and installed on here, and then once those are tacked into place, we can come over here and start working on building this section here. So just take it in pieces, take your time, it will work out. It'll seem like it's never going to end, but it will. Trust me. It's not that difficult. I always start with the center, get it mounted onto the truck or whatever you're putting it on, and then I build my outside pieces out of cardboard. I trace them, and if you don't have a CNC plasma table, which most people don't, you can just lay those cardboard patterns right on your sheet of steel, cut them off with a grinder even. I've done it. I built a whole bumper with a grinder. It's not a big deal. And weld the pieces on there individually. But I have a CNC plasma table and a brake, so I'm going to try to bend as much as I can to lessen the amount of welds. So let me get that bottom strip put on there. We'll get it taped down. Then I'll lay it out flat, and I'll bring you in and show you what I do as to copy that, transfer it onto the computer so we can get it into the plas, get it cut, get it bent, get it tacked into place. So bear with me for a little bit. I'll bring you right back, and we'll move on. All right, YouTube, we're in the office. We have our cardboard pattern. This was the piece that was taped on the back of the bumper, laid out flat. So what we're going to do is go around and measure all this stuff, lay it out on the computer, and then we will cut it out on the plasma and bend this up a piece. So let me get you set up here kind of where you can see what I'm doing. So start us another piece here. Better get my microphone on so you can hear what I'm doing. Alright, so I wish I had two cameras so you can see what I was doing on this side too, but just bear with me and we will figure this out. So I'm going to start in this corner because I know that this corner is square. So that's essentially our part. It looks somewhat like that, right? So now, what I like to do, so I ain't got to try to measure this stuff out, I'll take this and I'll say 1/8 of an inch, and we'll put us a little divot in there, and then we can just draw lines between them for bending purposes. Kind of gives us something to go off of when we go to bend them. And like I said, there'll be some monkeying around and some working to get it in there perfectly. I mean, I could sit here for hours and measure the truck and fully lay out everything perfectly, but it's a bumper. It will still look decent, and it's not going to be different than junk bumpers you buy online. They're put together in a factory by a bunch of people that don't care. It will look way better than that, I hope. We'll trim out all this stuff. Maybe. Those little tiny lines are hard. Okay, so there's our basic concept. That's what we're going with. And we will save that. With Jen, rear, bumper. We'll call that the wing. Save. There it is right there. All right, we gotta go get our flash drive and we'll get these parts cut out. Yeah, coming along. We'll get these pieces cut out. We'll clean them up. We'll run them through the brake. Get everything bent, and we can start tacking those pieces on. And we'll be good to go. And then we can start on the other little pieces. I just kind of just take it one bite at a time. There's no need to get in a huge rush. We'll toss that onto our flash drive. Eject. Come on now. Grab our flash drive, and then we will throw them into our computer here. New job. Import drawing. 4th gen rear bumper wing. So we'll need 2 of them. Just like that. We'll give it a cut file. 3/16. We'll start her up here in this corner. Run our post processor. And then we'll come up and find our NGC file. Boop, there they are. 3/16. Turn our laser pointer on. Taxi over there somewhere. Home all. Run them. All right, we'll let them finish cutting. I'll get them cleaned up and get some lines drawn on them, and I'll bring you back when we're ready. All right, we're plugging away on this bumper. I've got the ends and the corners on. We still gotta make the piece for here. We'll do that after it's back off the truck. Right now I'm working on this center section here for the license plate and the plug. So I've got that plate cut out and designed. Now we're going to find out if this little press brake can actually bend 3/16 plate that long. Never tried it, so we're going to figure it out. Let me get you set up here and we'll get the brake set up. Change this back to a 90-degree bend. Right around there. All right, let's try it. It's 21.5 inches. Nope. See what happens. Worst case scenario, it gets jammed and I gotta figure out how to get it unjammed. Nope. Didn't like that at all. It did it. You have to come down just a fuzz farther to get it to 90 degrees. Let me grab my angle gauge. I didn't like that. Not even a little bit. Let's see where we're at. 95.5. Here. 91 degrees. I don't think that's going to make us or break us. The old press brake did it. Didn't like it, but it did it. Had to step on it real hard a couple times. Probably way overworking it. So the plan is that will get put up there and welded in place. So let me get set up. I'll get that tacked in and I'll bring you right back. All right, YouTube, we're back on this bumper. Sorry I've been gone for a little bit, but guess that's the way it works. So we got the bumper all welded together and painted up. We just bolted it on the truck, got the lights mounted in the bumper. Now we're working on the license plate lights. So I just used the little push-in guys. Now you drill you 1.25 inch hole and shove them in there. But the problem is that when the light goes in it, it relies on the body of it to be ground, which is okay if it's contact and bare steel. So it relies on those little ears right there to be ground, and you have one power wire coming out. It works if the hole's clean. Problem is I don't want to grind the paint off and cause rust. So what I'm doing is I'm soldering a wire onto the side of the light bulb holder, which is right here. So I took a piece of emery cloth, sanded that off, and now I'm tinning it. I'm going to tin it with some solder, and then we'll tin the wire and we'll contact the wire right to it, just like you see it here. If you can see that, we're just soldering right to the body. So now I don't have to rely on that to grab ground, because the factory harness is already built with a positive and a ground, so I might as well utilize them, and you'll have a lot less failures that way. So let me see if I can set you up and to where you can see what I'm doing. All right, so I just take a little torch here and we'll heat the body of this up a little bit, just enough to get the solder to melt. So I just put me a little small dab of solder on there, if it'll focus. Now I'll do the same thing to the wire. We'll tin the wire. If you can figure out a way to hold it up there. I need some of them little alligator clip stands or whatever. There we go. So we'll do the same thing to the wire. Okay. So now we got the wire tinned. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then we'll just heat this back up until our wire fuses to the body. And there we go. We got a solid connection and a solid ground. So now we don't have to relay on that push-in connection to get ground, which works, like I said, if you clean it everything. But these lights are cheap and available, that's why I use them, and they're pretty robust. They just have this one little issue, but you can resolve that pretty easily. So let me pop this all back together and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Bring it right back. All right, so now instead of having one wire coming out of it, I have two. What we'll do is we'll cut them off. We'll put a weather pack terminal on there, and we'll change the end out on our factory harness to a weather pack terminal, and we can just plug them right in. That way if you got to remove the bumper or whatever, you don't have to cut wires to get your lights off and stuff. You can just unplug them and move on about your day. I know some people just direct wire them, whatever, and that's fine. But it just makes your life easier in the future if you do not spend a little extra time and do it correctly, I guess. So let's put some weather pack terminals on here. So I just buy these on Amazon, and you can buy kits or whatever, and you get all these different connections. So we're going to use a two wire. We need two of those, the two holders. We need 4 of these little rubbers. And then we'll need 4 of those things. You got to have this little tool to crimp them. Makes it, well, you don't have to, but it makes it easier. So, grab our wire strippers here. Set you up so you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see that. I'm just going to trim these wires off. I'll leave them kind of long. It ain't going to hurt nothing. There's extra wire, that's fine. We can zip tie it up under the truck. We'll cut those off. We can strip back the tiniest little bit. You don't need a lot. That little tiny bit's all you need. So we got to put our little sealant things on there. I'll show you why you don't want to put too much on them. So on this little clip, well, it's going to be hard to show you. This part right here is what grabs your wire, and right behind that's what grabs that rubber gasket I just put on the wire. So if you have too much wire, you're not going to get it all put together correctly. So now what we'll do is we'll just start shrinking it down until we get it where we want it. Flip them over there. One crimp. And then now we can crimp our round part around the rubber. So that's what you end up with when it's actually put on there. Get the wire crimped, you got your rubber crimped. We'll do the same thing with this one. These weather pack terminals are really nice, readily available and cheap. It's a lot better than doing another connection because you can actually unplug stuff. They're just really tiny, so you got to be really careful holding on to it and whatnot. Just like that. Now we can put this into our terminal. Got the wrong ends, I think. Need these ones. kind of hard to line up. It'll go in there and it'll make a positive click once you get it in there. Just like that. There should be little pieces like these little guys. They go in there and terminate. The plug end like that. We got one wired, right? Easy enough. Do the same thing with this one. Chop it off. Strip. Strip. Grab our little rubber pieces. Crimp our I always crimp the wire first. I don't know if that's the right way to do it or not, but that's the way I do it. And it works for me. So I use the big one there to get that loop started into a circle, and then I use the smaller one to clamp it down. So there's another one done. Let's put them in the same fashion. So we're going to put positive on that side, negative on that side. Now, when you go to put this together, just remember which side you put pay attention when you put the other end on, because right now it don't matter so much, but once you go to put the other end on, that's when it'll matter. Sometimes these things can be a pain in the butt to put on there. There it went. All right, so we got those wired. Now I'll probably tape those up. Just so we don't have a whole bunch of exposed wire. So let me tape these up, I'll bring you back. All right, YouTube, the bumper project is complete. I just finished doing all the wiring. Bumper's fully installed and ready for years of service, I guess. Here's the final product of the bumper. I put LED lights in, and that way I can see when I'm backing up when I need to in the middle of the night. It's not on the reverse lights, so it shouldn't hinder anything. But so what I did a while back, I bought the factory auxiliary switches for the RAM. I just had a block off plate in here that said RAM on it. So I bought those factory switches, and the plug that goes in the back of it is a pretty standard plug that Mopar uses on just about everything from this time period. I think I got it out of the heater controls or the radio of a freaking Dodge Caliber or something at the junkyard. I don't remember. And then I just built this relay bank. I believe that this came out of a older Dodge Stratus. It actually worked out perfect because there's 4 auxiliary switches, and this relay bank has 4 relays in it, and it's already factory built. It's a good relay bank, and this is just a cheap fusible block that I wired in. Here's my main power wire running to it. Feeds all the fuses power, and then out of those to the relays, and each one. So there's auxiliary 1. That one's running my light bars in the front bumper. Auxiliary 2 is running my headache rack lights, and auxiliary 3 is now running the lights in my bumper. I still have one more auxiliary. I just cut out this little bracket and bent it up and mounted these weather pack terminals to it, and wired it into my factory because my truck wasn't built with that harness, but I made it work. for cheap too. I think that switch panel was like $100, and I might have had another $50 and all that other stuff to make it work out. Like I said, I got one more open spot, but we'll find a use for it someday. I still want to build a back rack on this truck that goes across the back here, so I can haul long material across the top of my truck. I want to put a latch in that side, a bearing on this side, so I can swing it around and latch it to the side when I'm not using it. But that completes this project. We got many more in the portfolio. So the next project is that you're going to see is going to be running the harness and stuff on my side-by-side for my turn signals and all that stuff. That's it for now. I'm going to sign off. Please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with everybody, throw it on Facebook, and select all your friends in if you could. Be really greatly appreciated. Please keep following along. We have a lot more to do on our Power Wagon. I want to do some upgrades to my little white truck eventually. So a lot more to come. And just hit that little bell notification so you know when I upload something. And I do a lot of shorts videos, stuff I do at work, things here and there. So please check it out. We'll catch you guys on the next one.